You are now listening to a member of the Disney Podcast family. Head over to Disney Podcast Family on Instagram to see all the latest posts for this show and links to other great Disney podcasts.
Welcome back to Miles from Main Street. We're weighing the benefits of the D23 Fan Club Gold membership.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejados de las
This here's a wild ride in the wilderness.
Hello, I'm Brian. That
And I'm
is Stewart. Stewart, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Brian?
I'm doing all right. We're talking about D23, the Disney Fan Club.
Do you want to just jump right into it, or do you have some housekeeping stuff to do first?
But before we do, please like and subscribe to the show on your podcast app or on YouTube, and be sure to share it with your friends and family. Remember, new episodes every Tuesday. On Fridays, find the Disney Dash, a short-form podcast with my daughter Mia, where she is talking Disney from A to Z from a kid's perspective.
Those are fun episodes, by the way. Tell Mia she's a rock star, and I'm glad that she does those things.
She's been getting a lot of great feedback. Yeah,
That's awesome.
it's a lot of fun to do with her.
That's awesome.
As I like to say, I'm just there to keep the conversation going. But sometimes she gets on, like the last two episodes were Haunted Mansion and It's a Small World, and I get myself kind of going a little too much, and I gotta go. Oh, I'm talking too much again. All right. So
That's okay. That's okay. I think it's good for our kids to see that we're excited about things.
yeah, and she's excited about Disney, so it's fun to have her doing that show. We do have some fan feedback.
Awesome.
Yeah, so Daniel Butcher came in with, and this is in relation to the What We Always Do at Disney episode.
Yep.
And he said, Plaza Inn is bonkers.
Yes. That's
Plaza Inn is bonkers.
he is correct. Plaza Inn is bonkers, but it's an amazing place. So
Yeah, I've never had the fried chicken. Don't hurt
that's
me.
okay though. That's okay though.
Okay.
He also doesn't like turkey legs. So Daniel Butcher's comments are suspect to say the best.
All right. Well, we do have one from our text line. If you want to text the show, feel free to do that. There is a link within the show notes. It says, "Hi, Brian. It's Mindy from the other side of Wisconsin," with some laugh emojis. "Not sure if you remember, but used to do a podcast, Everyday Diz." Yes, Mindy, I do remember, and I'm glad you reached out. I hadn't seen you active lately, so I was wondering how you were doing. It's great to hear from you. Anyways, always listen and love to see you back, and it's been great listening to you and Stewart. She got that
Nice
right?
to meet you, Mindy. Hi. Tell your folks I says hi, and watch out for the deer.
I just wanted to say hi. Oh, wait. Yes, I just wanted to say hi again and thank you and Stewart for the fun content. I don't think I'll get to Disney this year, so really trying to fill my time with movies, podcasts, and anything I can get my hands on at the moment. Keep it up and hope to talk again soon. I mean, Mindy, yes, I'm not planning a trip right now. Stuart's not planning a trip right now. 2025 is the year of the comeback.
That's what they say.
Yeah,
That's what they're saying.
We're gonna get the money in order, and I gotta think, man, we had 2 cars go down, and I gotta get those paid off. So.
Yeah. Paying off cars is not for the faint of heart, that's for sure.
Right. So yeah, Mindy, thank you so much for texting us.
Yeah.
It's great to hear from you.
Well, that kind of segues nicely into why we're talking about D23 today, because neither of us have a planned trip. Mindy doesn't have a planned trip. And so part of what D23 does is allow us to be connected to Disney and the D23 family,
Yes.
group, without being close to Disney. And one of those things that I don't think they've done very well in the past is, I'm already starting with a negative. I got to rework on that, but not today. One of the things I think they do great is that connection, but they don't do like the in-person events. So like, if you look at the in-person events on the D23 thing, they're like, wow, Los Angeles, Chicago, New York.
Not even Chicago that much. It's usually just Orlando and Anaheim.
It's like, well, if I'm going to go to Orlando and Anaheim, I'm going to be in Orlando and Anaheim. I'm not going to like go to the D23 thing. So it's a really interesting thing that they did, which was have a bunch of stuff on a live video. And so I was able to watch that, and that's why we talked about the D23 thing today. So do you want to back up and sort of explain what this D23 thing is and sort of give some background to it?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. So D23 is a fan club that was created, 16 years ago, I believe now.
Something like that, yeah.
I think they just celebrated the 15th, and that was a thing. So I think they're on to year 16. They do offer a complimentary membership, and that'll get you a newsletter and access to any general events. And sometimes the gold events or the more premier events, they will open up if they have the room for it to the general membership, and there'll be a fee for that, or you might pay a little more than a gold member. And they hold sweepstakes all the time. I've actually won one of those sweepstakes, and I know, like, I didn't think anyone ever won anything, and then like January comes by and I get an email that you've won, and I had to.
What did you win?
I won. It was like 10 different plush Disney characters.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've got them on display over here, and they're fun. And it came with like a little certificate saying that I had won and how cool I was. So one is giant Fantasia Mickey. I'm trying to remember. I think it's like Kid Robot or something, but it vibrates. So sometimes I might like jump on the floor too hard or something, and also it's going. So
you were getting a phone call from your 1993 speakers on while you were playing a music in the background on your computer.
Yeah, there you go. All right. This year, though, they've kind of changed up what it was. It used to be general and gold, and that was it. There was like an extra level that you could.
Yeah, there was like a gold duo or something where you got 2 cards or something like that, but only 1 prize or whatever it was.
Right. Yeah. So this year you get the essential plan, which gets you the card and the certificate, a commemorative pin, a gold member collectible magnet, a savings passport. Not sure what that is. Do you have any information on that one? You're not on the new plan yet, are you? You're on the old plan still.
I got D23 for Christmas one year, which means that my whole renewal thing is at the end of the year.
Yeah, that's where mine was too. Yep.
Yeah, so there was like a Black Friday sale or something, and I was like, I can have this now. So that's what I got. The thing that I like about the D23 stuff is it comes with toys or prizes or whatever, right? One of them was this fancy, pretty well sturdy figure, right? And there's a couple of other things.
Sorcerer Mickey.
Oh yes, holding up the Sorcerer Mickey for the audio listeners. And there's been a couple of other gifts and stuff like that. That's what I really like, because it's that's the collectible. I get it for my birthday, and I'm happy on that. And then the magazines have been very well produced as well. But I hear they're going away with those.
Yeah, so the plan that I'm explaining, the essential plan, that comes with a savings passport. It comes with a Lorcana card, which we know that you're a big fan of Lorcana. It gives you the digital D23 publication, the magazine.
Yeah.
I love that magazine, and we'll get into that in a minute. It gets you access to the events that I mentioned earlier, and gets you access to the gold member offers and discounts, and of course the fanfare newsletter, access to general events and sweepstakes like we're in the other plan. Now, $100 is what the gold member plan was last year when I got into it, or when I was still into it. I was in it for about 5 years. You get the choice of one gold member premium item along with all of the other things that I mentioned. And that premium item, you get a choice. There's 4 different items or groups of items that you can pick from, which I am not finding that in here right now. If you want the complete plan, that gets you gives you everything I mentioned, plus it gets you all 4 of those premium items. That is $300. All of that. Now, we're like I said, we're going to get into this. I was a member for 5 years, and I got into it because I'm a Disney fan and I wanted to be part of the club. And yes, I got into it late. I knew it had been out there for a while, and I couldn't justify the cost.
It's not cheap.
No, it's always been around about $100.
Yep.
So I finally got into it, and I really enjoy the magazines, as we talked about. I loved having those in my hand. I have a very nice library of them now, and they're not going to be doing that anymore. So
yeah,
they raised the price. Actually, if you still want the premium item, I guess it's still about $100. It's not really raising the price, but you're getting the digital magazine. You're not getting the physical copy, which if you want the physical copy, you can buy it for $10. So that's 4 times a year. That's another $40. So in my eyes, they've raised the price. Yeah. Anyway, so that was part of it. The other part is that, as you had mentioned, the events are pretty much in California and Florida. They have had some at Marceline here and there, and I've wanted to go. The other problem, though, is that these events are extremely exclusive. So the price is around $300 to $400, depending on the event. I have no problem with that. I think that you're getting your money out of that deal. Like, they are giving you an awesome time. But me with 3 kids over these last 5 years, I have not had the chance to be able to handle something like that. And it's really hard to get them. So
and it's not like you can they don't drop. If we're talking about going to Marceline, we're talking about flying in a plane. If we're talking about going to New York, we're talking about flying in a plane. If we're talking about going to Los Angeles, we're talking about flying in a plane. All of these flying in a plane things add extra time and money. And I'm not trying to, again, we love D23. I'm a member. Blah, 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 blah. But it's not like you can just drop everything and be like, well, we're going to New York, within the time frame that they announce these things. So,
Right.
Usually it's a couple of months, and that takes time and effort to like find a plane and find airfare that's not going to kill you and that doesn't take 4 days to get there and stuff like that. So when they announced this
change.
when they announced the change,
Yeah.
they also brought in these online events, and I think they're called like silver screen events or something. I should have prepared better for this, but I didn't. So they've announced these. Basically, you log in with your email that it's attached to the D23 thing, and you get to watch this movie, this televised filmed event live on camera or live, and there's a chat stream and all that sort of stuff, and the hosts and whatnot. To me, that makes it very much worth. You've created the ability to connect with people again, and that's what we want. And so whether or not that's connecting with members over the internet, which is great, or connecting with people in New York or Los Angeles, which is also great, but you've made it the ability to connect with things, in addition to your Lorcana card and your Mickey or whatever. So
yeah, and I'll probably get back in at some point, especially when I start looking at going to the D23 Ultimate Fan event, because it's no longer just an expo.
Yeah.
This last year when it was going on, my wife kept saying, you need to go to that. And it's like, yeah, I do, but it's, basically a week in California. And
yeah, we have looked at going a few times. And, the first time that I heard about it, they had the Scrooge McDuck money vault that you could swim in. And I was like, why am I not there? I would like to be there right now. And it looked really fun. It looked really cool. And it's, it's a con. It's a convention. It's a fan. Right. I'm sorry. It's no longer a fan expo, but it's still, an event. And you get to meet people and you get to talk to people and you get to, hear the keynote speakers and stuff like that. So I mean, this is where they also announce all the new park stuff. And, are we going to get a dark park or a fifth gate or what's going on with the cruise ships or stuff like that. This is also where Kevin Feige is starting to do his big, what's coming in the Marvel Cinematic Universe panel. That iconic image with him and his, remote control with the huge TV screen behind him, right? So that happens there now, instead of San Diego Comic-Con, or at least most of it happens there now. So it's definitely worth trying to go to.
I think it's something that I definitely need to go to. I just haven't made it a priority yet.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. When you go, we'll have to maybe we'll both go or something. I don't know.
Well, maybe it's podcast research that we need to do.
Yes. You should. That means you should like and subscribe to this podcast. So we'll start monetizing it. That's what that means.
Yes. It would. Yeah, that would sure help out, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So these spotlight events or silver screen, whatever that they're called, you got to watch it. I wasn't aware that these were coming online. I didn't know they were doing this. So this was kind of a surprise the first time I saw it announced, and it made me sad that I did not keep my membership, because I could have stayed on the old plan and gotten the physical copy of the magazine, the cool Sorcerer Mickey you were holding up and all that. But I did let it go. So I do not have access to this presentation, which I might as well mention now. They don't offer a playback with these. These are live events that you're just tuning into. Mm-hmm. And that's another difficult thing for me. They've done these before and the time hasn't worked out the way I would like. And it typically means I need to watch it later, because a lot of this stuff can get kind of heavy and nerdy, and my family isn't necessarily into that type of stuff. So
you're right.
It's hard for me to be able to sit down and just watch it when we've got a busy household. So things are changing, and maybe I'll be able to join in at some point. But you got to watch it, and I want to hear about it.
I did. And so this was Jolly Holiday, which was the Richard Sherman brothers, but Richard Sherman more, documentary celebration panel at the last D23 Expo. And it was filmed, and they had a bunch of, celebrities come out, John Stamos and Floyd Norman and Tony Baxter and a couple of people who sang some songs. I am woefully unprepared for this. I thought I should have taken notes, and I didn't. But it doesn't matter. It's still fun. And, you got to sit and watch it with people, and it was, I don't know if you've done this or not, but it was, well, basically like YouTube, right? It wasn't on YouTube, but it was basically like YouTube. You had, the show, and then you had a bunch of chat over here, and the chat was scrolling 90 miles a minute. And so you couldn't, I personally couldn't like interface with both. So I threw the video up on the screen and texted my friend who was watching it on her iPad or whatever. So that's the way we connected with it. And it was really fun. And they made a point to announce a few more. So Weird Disney was one of them, and I think there might have been an animation one. See above about me not being prepared. But the point is, it seems to me they're making a conscious effort to include people who are not able to get to Los Angeles and not able to get to New York or Orlando or wherever it happens to be. I mean, even Chicago is not super easy for me. It's 6 hours, which is not hard, but it's not, it's a whole day.
Right. Trip. And, as an aside, some of the things that they do offer and have offered are premieres, free showings or premieres of new movies. And they're usually downtown Chicago, which is, like you said, not the easiest for us to get to. And from what
if it's in Chicago at all, if it's even in Chicago, a lot of them are like in New York, and it's like, well, that's great. Or at the Los Angeles Symphony Theater, which they own, that I would be amazed to go see that. Like I think they did the Moana premiere there, and it's like you could have gone to that, if I was in California,
right? Yeah, and these are just like special showings for the club. But the problem is that they're running. It's like another company that they've hired to run this at the theater, and they'll oversell the tickets. And so you get there like 3 hours early to be able to actually get a seat in the show. And I was hearing last year a few times that people were getting turned away, even though they were told they had a ticket ahead of time. But they do that because since it's a free event, people might just say, I'm not going to bother, So anyway, it is nice that they have this online or virtual setting. I thought it was actually a live thing. I didn't realize it was the recording from the fan event.
There were, okay. I don't know if it was. So there were some hosts, Richard Sherman's son, and the gentleman who helped put on the show. I think he was an Imagineer. There were hosts, and they were sort of introducing the new pieces of the next segment of the show, right?
Okay.
I don't believe that was live there, but it was something called live to tape, where they're just recording it, they're throwing it to the VTR, which is the videotape recording, and they're coming back and talking about, wasn't that cool? Go to the chat and tell us your favorite this or that, right? So that was probably live to tape, but it was still broadcast at the same time across the United States, or around the world, I guess technically, same time on the internet, and so you got again the sense of camaraderie, right? It's the sense of going to the 3:00 parade. What time's the parade? 3:00, right? It's this sense of being on Main Street and it being around a bunch of other Disney people. It scratches the itch real well. Doesn't actually solve it, but it scratches the itch real well.
And that I remember getting surveys about this, and being asked why I'm involved and why do I keep the membership, and what would we want to see in the future. And the live events was something that I had pushed for. And, this last year, I was getting a little jaded with it because you saw so many shopping events being done at either Orlando or Hollywood in the studios, the studio tour is a big deal. Like, I am dying to get into that studio tour, and but that again, you have to couple it with a trip out there, and like they weren't doing them at the time when I did actually get
Right.
out. So, yeah, it makes it difficult to justify the entire cost for me after you keep seeing all of these events being done. You're talking me back into it though, Stewart. I mean, this is good stuff.
Well, yeah, that's what we're here for, to talk you back into spending more money, so you're not going to wait. No, maybe we shouldn't spend the money on it and just go to the parks instead. Wait a second. No. I mean, yeah, there is an argument for that. I mean, like, I love this little figurine, but I'm holding the Sorcerer Mickey again for the radio audience. I love it, but like, is it worth the price of admission? I might argue no, but it's still cool, right? I mean, who doesn't love Sorcerer Mickey? There were some discounts. I don't know if you used them when you were in the parks last, but there are some discounts at some places, but not overwhelming and not very big either. It's like 5-10%, so that covers tax maybe. But
we actually on our last trip used it at Ghirardelli. I hadn't been to Ghirardelli in quite a while, and my daughter's like, "Let's go get some ice cream," and I'm like, "Okay, we'll get one." And I remembered there was a discount, and actually, what they do there, so they used to hand out the little small squares at the door, right, to anyone walking by, and they stopped doing that. But the discount at Ghirardelli for a gold member is now you can get one of their large candy bars that I think they run for $6.99 there, and if you buy anything, you get that for free.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I grabbed one of those that came home with us, and we munched on it then. So and so we have used some of those. The one that I used the most, or had used the most, was with Joffrey's, because I can use it online. And the discount they used to offer on Shop Disney, or now the Disney Store again, used to be really good, but they've really reined that in, and it's like really specific on what is actually available for that discount, unless they're like in March is always the fan appreciation stuff, and they'll run a discount at that time that's really good. So but yeah, I always, whenever I was down there, I'm always looking to see what discounts are available, and you're not getting hotel discounts on property.
No.
You're not getting discounts on tickets. You might be able, if you want to stay at like the Lake Buena Vista Hotel by Disney Springs, that's not actually Disney, you can get a discount there. And there are some other hotels in California and Florida that you can get a small discount. Some of them are up to 20% at those hotels, but Disney's not giving you anything for being in the in this club, really. It's other people that work with Disney that might give you something. That Joffrey's discount is a good one in the parks like that.
Yep.
Because we always are hitting Joffrey's when we're there, and it's a big deal.
The discount I remember the most was the Shop Disney things. There was a couple of pins. So like when Muppet Treasure Island came out, I got the Kermit Captain pin and a couple of other things, and those were pretty cool. That you couldn't get when you would buy that not normal people, but people not in the club couldn't get, right?
Right.
You had to have your D23 membership connected to that. I wouldn't be surprised though if in the future something with your D23 membership and Disney Plus started happening. Because Disney Plus being the over-the-top direct to consumer, between me and Disney media company, seems like a natural fit. it seems like there should be some sort of interface with it, whether or not it's, I don't know if they put new content on there at all or specific content, but maybe they fold these, special online screenings into Disney Plus, and so it's one seamless app. And then maybe they do allow, at that point, they do allow like a rewatchability of it. And that I could see happening. But you're still missing, again, one of the points of this whole thing, like you were with your reviews, was saying that you want the camaraderie, you want the community of it, right? And you want to be standing on Main Street watching the fireworks. The magazine was great, and I love it, and I have a bunch of them, but I've never read an article in them. I've looked at the pictures. Pictures are great.
Go read out there. I mean, and I said this online when they announced the new plans and that they were going to digital with them. It largely has become an advertisement for new movies and TV shows. They will give you some background and some insider information that you might not hear about, but largely that's what they're doing. Is the large articles in those magazines are about the upcoming movies. And so when you go back to read some of them, you go, oh, that movie sucked, or oh, that movie didn't do well. Do I really care? Sometimes you don't. And other times there's a great Star Wars article, or there's a great, Moana article or something, of a good movie that did come out that you do kind of enjoy getting that additional background. It was the historical type stuff that I was looking for. And there is some of that in there. It's just not as heavy as it used to be. It's a couple of smaller articles now.
If it were more historical, if it were more like, this is how Walt created Disneyland, and this is the struggle he went into, or really like a deep dive into, launching the balloon 50 feet in the air, or whatever it was, right? That, I think, would make D23's magazines sort of to the next level. But you're right. It is just an advertisement for, Mufasa or whatever is coming out.
Right. And before I had gotten into the club, I was like, I picked up a copy of one of the magazines on eBay to see if I'd be interested, and it was a Muppets cover, I believe, and the back cover is all felt, and I thought that was really cool, and they had some really good articles in it, so I'm like, yeah, I want to get into this. But as the years went by and I kept looking at them and reading them, it was more just advertisements for the upcoming movies.
So if they can reduce the printing costs, because they're not cheap magazines either, they're nice, they are super nice, and if they can reduce the cost of it, then they can maybe pay a writer to write a story that's not just an advertisement, which would be nice,
Right.
I don't know if we live in that world anymore.
Yeah, I was worried about what may happen to D23. I think there is some renewed interest from the company in keeping it going. I know when Bob Chapek was kind of stepping in, there was questions about whether the fan club was going to keep going, and so I think it's good to see that they are revamping things and trying to keep people interested. It's hard for you and me being this far away. And I think you're right. The virtual event does help. But I get mad when, I'll finish that thought, but I wanted to go back to something. I get mad when I see all of these shopping events and other things that happen in LA or in Florida, and I can't get there.
Mickey's at Glendale's, right? That would be amazing. But
so what I was going to go back to, the thought I had was on that line is that they do have sometimes a virtual sale. So they did do a the Muppets Mayhem when that was coming out. I remember a sale coming up for that, and I got into that one, and got a couple of T-shirts and some small drumstick pens that the dog chewed up. Thank you so much. But you know, there's some good stuff in there that I was able to pick up, and knowing that it's specific to me being a gold member, a little luster to it. So
yeah, like I said, the Kermit, Kermit the Frog pin. There's a couple of other ones, but that's the one that comes to my mind. And in his it was Fozzie in his banana fruit hat. The other pin that was the D23 exclusive, and those are cool. I don't know if they're going to hold their value, but I also am not going to see them on every backpack in the park. So that's kind of interesting.
I do believe one of the items that you could pick from for this new membership is a pin backpack that has a special D23 logo on it. So like they are catering.
Yeah,
in subgroups of fans, right?
Yeah, one of the people that they interviewed for this Jolly Holiday, or maybe he introduced it or whatever, was sort of the leader of the pack for MICKEY MOUSE, leader of the D23 group, right? Internally, he's a cast member who works for Disney, and he's sort of managing the D23 thing. He was talking about how he didn't specifically say the words that we are saying, but you got the sense that it was of import to him to reach out to the people who don't live in New York or Orlando, or who are not in New York or Orlando or Los Angeles, the bigger cities. And so I think that's why they did the virtual event. And the virtual event was very well attended. Like I said, the chat was going, it was flying. I couldn't read it. So I just stopped because there was no way to even have a conversation with anybody. They'd send out a poll. It's like, what was your favorite, supercalifragilistic moment or whatever? And before you got done typing, it's gone. You couldn't even remember. So, was it a success? Yes. Did I utilize the chat at all? No, I didn't.
That's interesting. I'd like to, you're piquing my interest here, and it'd be interesting to try it out and see if I made connections through the chat. Because if it's flying that fast, I can't imagine it's easy for people to say, "Oh, I like that idea. I want to talk about that with them more."
Yeah, that's why I don't think it was live. Right, somebody somewhere was monitoring it and getting the data, the feedback data, but I don't think it was. There's not no way, but I doubt there was an intern looking at it going, "We should ask this question next," because I think
I just mean like you and me, like if you and I, there, and we see this chat flying by, we're not necessarily reading the chat and going, "I want to talk to that person about that." And putting more chat in. It's more just kind of responding to the presenters, right? And they're not necessarily going to do anything with that. And I think back to your point at the beginning is that they're trying to build that camaraderie again, and you felt that even though the chat wasn't there for you.
Yeah. I mean, what I think would be really interesting is if when they do the next one, because there was two more announced, and Weird Disney was one of them, and I forgot the other one was. But when they do the next one, to have a group of people. Do you remember COVID, Brian? You know how we all sat in our house?
I've heard a legend of COVID of some sort, yeah.
And watched TV and then chatted on our phones. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That's what I think they're trying to replicate a little bit. And I think that would be fun, right?
That was the year that I actually enjoyed the membership the most, because they had so many live virtual events going on that I was able to tune into them. Then you could play them back and watch them later. And I was really enjoying that piece of it. So
I everybody stayed home except anybody who worked in a grocery store and or retail. Me. So I didn't stay home at all.
yeah.
So but it's the way it went. So we were able to go on a cruise afterwards. So I'm okay with it.
There you go.
So but go ahead.
We've kind of gone on about the fan club quite a bit. I know you wanted to give us more information. Is there anything more about the actual video that you were a part of that, information or anything that was interesting that we should know about?
Well, it was a love letter to the Sherman brothers and specifically Richard Sherman. And I had him, get up on the stage. Well, he had since passed, and he'd passed, I think, like 2 or 3 months before this thing was put together. So they didn't have a whole lot of time to throw it together. And it was definitely a love letter to him and his brother. And his son, got on stage with, I guess, his niece. So it would have been Richard's granddaughter. And she sang a special verse to It's a Small World that was written right before Richard died. And so that was pretty tear-jerking and pretty amazing. And I guess they'd also have video of Richard presenting it to Bob Iger in a special just called Bob Iger up and was like, "Hey, I'm coming down." And Bob's like, "Okay." So he went in there and read this last verse to him. And it was, it's one of the things that I didn't realize beforehand. I mean, I could have guessed it or kind of knew it or whatever, but Richard Sherman's outlook on life and, what we're here to do as human beings, I think was pretty amazing and pretty groundbreaking and pretty positive, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're all, how does Small World go, Brian? Come on.
It's a small world after all. Oh my gosh, I have to get the tune at it right now.
But the point is the whole song is about coming together as human beings and it being, we're all just one planet, right? We're all just one group of people on one ball floating through space, right? So we should,
despite the differences, right?
Despite the differences, we should come together. And so I really like that. That was pretty amazing. And then they had the Broadway actress sing Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. She originated Mary Poppins on Broadway, and so she was able to do that. And I guess she sang it phonetic. So when Mary does it backwards, expialidocious, supercalif, something like that, this performer was able to do it phonetically, which I guess is the way the Broadway version does it. But because that's not the way Richard Sherman wrote it, she did it twice or something like that. So it was kind of brain twisty. I was sitting there going, "This is not right, but it's right," because she's doing it.
Yeah, because I think in the movie when Julie Andrews is singing it, she doesn't really sing it backwards. It's just kind of sounds or something.
Right.
Like as you said, like at the end, like the Oshus, like she says Oshus, and then like she's grabbing pieces of it backwards. So is that kind of what it is? And then she did it. Does the Broadway way do it like the actual backwards way? Like
that sounds more right than what gobbledygook I was trying to spout.
Okay.
And then Haley Mills got up and sang the "Let's Get Together" song from the Parent Trap.
Absolutely.
And Brian, did you watch Saved by the Bell? I
did.
Did you watch Saved by the Bell with Miss Bliss?
Not a lot, but I do remember it.
Yes. Good Morning, Miss Bliss was.
Yeah, That was like the first season, and then they kind of went into the popular version after that.
Well, it was a different show. It was called Good Morning Miss Bliss, and then they spun all the characters off. Well, the Zach Morris character.
Oh, okay.
And they brought Screech with him, and they moved him to Malibu for some reason. My brain will get on a thing, right? And I loved Saved by the Bell growing up. Loved it. Watched all of it when the college years came out. I was must see TV, baby, because I was the right age, right?
Yep.
But then it was not good anymore, and whatever. So I kind of went on a deep dive about Saved by the Bell, the lore of Saved by the Bell, and Tori came in, and who's Tori, and where did she come from, and why are they at a beach, and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, but it was cool to see all of the actors and celebrities come back and talk about what Richard Sherman brought to the table of Disney, right? I didn't realize that. I know that the gentleman, Albert Broccoli, wanted to make Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which was Ian Fleming's, the guy who wrote James Bond, which was his children's novel. And Albert Broccoli was like, I want to make Mary Poppins, but I can't, so I'm going to make Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And he went to Disney and said, can I hire all of your people? And Walt was like, sure, here's the Sherman Brothers. And so they, I didn't realize that it was that easy. It probably wasn't that easy, but
and it was back then. It was.
Yeah, back then it was.
I don't know that the Sherman Brothers were huge yet.
They may not have been. Not have been.
But anyway,
but it was still the same DNA, right? And so if you watch Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which is a very good movie, and I highly recommend it, you get Dick Van Dyke singing more songs, right? Who doesn't love that? Notably absent was Dick Van Dyke. I mean, the man is pushing 100, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if he's not
celebrated 100 years.
Yes, okay.
He was already a legend, but side note, Coldplay just put out a video. It's on YouTube, and all of my love is what it's called, and it's basically Chris Martin going to Dick Van Dyke's house. They sing the song. Dick is dancing in his backyard, like as Chris is playing the song. The dude is incredible. Like his health is amazing right now. I did see him on TV, or there were some reports. I think I saw it was social media actually that he was posting that about the fires, and he had to evacuate. But everyone there was fine. I don't know what happened to his house. But that like just if you need a good cry, you'll find that video on YouTube. It's on Coldplay's channel.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's so good.
Or if you do need a good cry, you can just go listen to Feed the Birds. Because who doesn't tear up listening to Feed the Birds?
Right. Yeah. So another side note there, the Disney 100 cartoon that they did for Disney Animation.
Oh yeah, that was written by them as well. Yes. So there is a part where it's basically Mickey getting everyone together to take a picture for the 100th anniversary, right? And there is a moment that he stops and he looks at Walt's portrait in the animation studio, and of course everyone tears up at this moment. Made extra special because there is a piano in the background playing Feed the Birds. Couple that with the story that was presented shortly after that came out, or maybe it was right before it came out. But anyway, they actually got Richard Sherman to come to Walt's office and play it on the piano that he always played it on. Yeah.
You think about that with him passing so quickly after that had happened. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of people who showed up for that. You know, they had Kevin Feige on the stage talking about how he wrote the thing for Iron Man 2. And you know, I remember being on the Welcome to Level 7 podcast talking about Iron Man 2 and having that be you know, when Richard Sherman came out. I wasn't on that podcast then. That was Mr. Dandy Daniel Butcher. Anyway, they were talking about how Richard Sherman wrote that, right? And he started playing it, and there's video of Jon Favreau just going, "This is the most amazing thing in my life."
Yeah.
Jon Favreau is a huge Disney nerd, right? Not just, you know, Star Wars and Marvel, but also Disney stuff. And so that was just a great moment for him. And at one point, I guess he goes, "I'm not going to sing it very well." And John's like, "Sure, you're not. Just go right on ahead." But then, you know, Floyd Norman, who posts some amazing artwork on Disney on Facebook.
Yes, he does.
Who you tagged me in some stuff for. I may or may not screenshot every single one of his Robin Hood posts. May or may not. I don't know.
He's a great follow because he just, you know, has these posts of artwork he's done or is doing, and
he talked about how they wrote the bare necessities in like an hour and a half or something like that. So it was really good, and I'm really glad I watched it. And I'm kind of jealous of all the people who get to see it in D23, but I think this was a good sort of thing for it. And it just hit right at the right time. I was home. I was able to power up the computer and connect it to the TV and all that sort of stuff. I wish they'd had a way to play it externally. So like I had to mirror my laptop to the TV, and then I was trying to do other things or whatever. But they'll work the bugs out. I mean, I think this is a good overall. I think this is a good way to move forward into getting more events for people outside of New York, Los Angeles, LA.
Yeah. So, I mean, this has been an incredible conversation. I think we could go another hour on this, but
at least
I think we're out of time at this point. You know, like this was great stuff. And so I want to know from everyone else, like, how do you feel about D23? Do you still have your membership? Are you thinking of getting one? Did Stewart talk you into it?
Feel free to send me all of the Lorcana cards that you get from your D23 membership. I will take them as gratitude. If you sign up, I'll take them.
That's mighty nice of you.
You know what? I'll just take it off their hands. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I saw that and I was like, well, I guess I'm knowing what I'm doing next year.
Melissa Pilgrim is our choice for your next Disney vacation. You can reach her at amagicalpilgrimage@gmail.com. We thank her for her support.
Well, all right. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. Remember, episodes every Tuesday. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. As a bonus, leave us a comment, and we'll read it on the show. Or better yet, find the link to the text. I can't get this right. Find the link to text the show in our show notes, and we'll read that on the show, just as we did for Mindy today. So, Mr. Stewart, as we like to say, some live close,
but others don't.
So let's talk about it. We'll see you next time on Miles from Main Street.